Good afternoon, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and yes, I have a few jokes about unemployed people, but none of them work. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Exogate developed and published by Xenobits, released in early access and selling for $23 American. Now, as far as I know, this indie team has only this game on release at Steam and nothing else. And after playing it, I could have sworn they had developed some other games, but hey, if not, no big deal. Either way, cool to see another indie team join the Steam community. Now, the best way I can explain this game to all you viewers out there is, what if we took some competent developers, made them watch the entire Stargate series, you know, the good one, and then make them play Evil Genius for about 24 hours straight. Afterwards, we then forced them to make a game, and you'd get this. I mean, that's a pretty long way of saying this game is Evil Genius meets Stargate, but meh, it was fun. Also, if you're hearing any jingle jangle in the background, that would be my cat and my dog, because it's always when I start to record that they decide to show up. So, anyway, yeah, that's the game. It doesn't really have much of a plot or a story. I mean, you're the new XO, and you lead this team of what the game calls Gators, spelled Gators with an E, and I'll put that on screen for you just in case, because you don't want to get all distracted by wondering what I'm talking about, because, you know, Gator, like alligator, would be with an O. That's what I mean anyway. And your job is to explore distant planets using your your Exogate, and discover new life, be it plants or alien civilizations. Keep your investors happy and don't contract some alien super AIDS. That's about it. So let's do as we always do and take a look at the good and the bad. And I'd recommend you stick around for most of the video. And it's not just for personal selfish reasons, of course. I mean, there could be some negatives in there that really turn you off and make you not want to play the game. You know, it's not just about me. I'm thinking about you guys. But first, let's take a look at the positives. Now, the first positive here is the look and feel of the game. Now, the graphics and the art basically is what I'm talking about. In a lot of weird ways, they have great attention to detail thing going on here. I mean, the lighting is great, the colors are blended well together, they have great matching colors and contrasting colors, and just overall, everything just looks really nice and well crafted. Nothing feels too cramped, nothing looks too awful, and overall, it's just, yeah, it's not bad to look at. Even the UI, while it seems a bit confusing at first, it's actually fairly simple and easy on your brain, so that's nice too. Now, are these graphics something phenomenal in next gen? Nah. But I don't think they wanted to go for that for this kind of game anyway. And for the type of game they have going on here, the graphics are almost perfect for it. I mean, sure, you could make it look nicer, but then it might slow down gameplay, and you don't really want to have that. So, you know, considering the type of game you're doing, these graphics work pretty well. Up next is the gameplay, and it's awesome. Want me to keep going? Fine. So, you have to build your base like in Evil Genius or Dungeon Keeper, right? You dig out ground, then in a similar fashion to digging, you know, with a click and drag, you build the room inside the ground that you dug up. You click on the completed room to open up a new menu of things that you can build inside the room. For a barracks, it's beds and lockers. For the mess hall, it's tables and food dispensers, etc., etc. You can then hire certain types of employees via the hiring market. Look for soldiers, medics, scientists, diplomats, and more. Then you'll need the respective rooms before you can hire these individuals, which you can learn through research. Once you have your scientist, you know, because the game gives them to you pretty easily, you then send these unarmed, untrained scientists into your gate to explore these worlds. Once there, they grab samples, bring them back, and study them, which gives you research points to learn other things, like how to hire soldiers or build new rooms. They also have a patent writing system, where you can take the discoveries you make and write patents for things like bio-superweapons, food shortage problems, or medical breakthroughs, which provide you with extra income. But boy, oh boy, that is not all they have here. They have events that'll happen for your team when they are on these alien worlds, where they're going to call you up and basically say hi and ask for your advice and tell you the situation they're looking at, which is really cool. And then they have this little Skype screen thing showing the scientist calling from the world with the alien world in the background. I mean, that is so freaking cool. And you help them make decisions based on their skills and odds of success, or personally, just which choice you desire, because there's a bunch of choices for you to pick from. Your employees can also gain levels as you play the game, which makes them more proficient in certain things. I know I wanted to word that a bit differently, but that was the best way to say it, because they can literally gain experience while they're just talking with each other at home. When they are not risking their lives through the gate, they chill at base, sleeping, eating, doing recreation, or their jobs, and researching stuff for you. And yeah, that's pretty much the gameplay in a nutshell. Now you can connect to new planets, claim them, which I'm not too sure what that really does besides giving you influence every day, but still, it's like conquering new worlds or whatever, which is kind of cool. So yeah, the gameplay, which, by the way, I've only touched on like 20% of everything you can do in this game. So anyway, yeah, as I was saying, the gameplay, it's pretty awesome, and I'm super duper excited to play more and find out what else this game has to offer me. The next positive would be the price, length, and replayability. The length of this game is definitely going to take you a while. I played for an hour and a half and only just got medics. With the scientists, that's only 2 out of I think it was 8 different types of employees you can hire. And I still got a buttload of stuff to explore and research. So this game is probably 10 plus hours if I had to take a guess. The replayability is there with a weird, vague kind of campaign mode. I think that's what it is. And then they have a free play mode. And considering the price, well, with the quality here, the length, replayability, and originality, I'd say it's definitely worth $25. And it's only charging $23. The last positive would have to be the stability. Now, don't get me wrong, for the most part, the game was pretty stable, which is why it's here in the positives. But it does suffer from some frame rate dropping and some clipping. Hopefully the devs can clear that stuff up pretty easily. But it's in the positives because, despite being an early access game from a small indie team, it's stable in almost every other way. And for most of my time playing, it was really smooth and didn't even feel like an early access game. Okay, so that's all I got for the positives. Up next is the negatives, but before that, please do me a small favor and support my channel. It's super easy and costs you nothing. Just don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you found this informative and want to see more, hit the like button if you think I did a good job, and leave a comment for whatever reason. It might not seem like it, but it helps a lot more than you'd think. Okay, now on to the negatives. So, they plan to increase the price of the game when it's fully released. I'm not too sure if that's a good idea. And I got this information from the Steam store page where they are literally saying they plan to increase the price, and by the way they're saying it, it looks like they plan to do it more than once. Look, it's a good game, but it's not worth more than $30, even at its final release. Unless you add something completely off the rails into this game that's not in there yet, so I don't know. But let's hope they don't get too greedy with it, alright? Not really a negative per se, but just something I felt I needed to say and warn you guys about, just in case. So, the first real negative, after that little tidbit, is the tutorial. It was the first thing that annoyed me with the game. It's very vague, it pops up very rarely, and when it does, sometimes it shows up in the wrong order or at the wrong time. Like I'm looking through menus about researching and planets, and it's giving me tutorials in the wrong order, talking about the wrong things with no visuals. And then when you click it, it's got to catch up to what you're looking at now. They're also a little bit much. It doesn't need to be so long and extensive, guys. It's a tutorial, and if it's too boring or too long or too complicated, people are just going to skip it and then complain about the game. Just shorten them down, make it more brief, get the timing right, and don't wait for us to discover something before teaching us about it. Teach us everything in the game in a nice, compact way as soon as we get in, bit by bit, so it doesn't overwhelm us. Okay, game devs? I didn't know I needed to assign a scientist to the patent machine to make them write a patent. The research they do is automatic, the studying of samples they brought back is automatic, but not the patent writing. So how was I to know? You didn't tell me. So I was waiting forever for my first patent to get finished, and it just wasn't working because I didn't know I had to assign somebody to it. See what I mean? Next up is the speed of the gameplay. Don't get me wrong, I think I understand why there is no fast forward button, but at least give us one more speed of slightly faster, because there are multiple moments in just my first hour where I was sitting there around waiting for things to be completed or for something to do. It was getting boring at times because of the constant waiting. I'm not saying give us 3 times speed, but maybe 2 times speed or 1.5, just give us a little bit of fast forwarding. Next would be the sound and the music. Now the sound effects in the game sound great at times. Listening to your people eat is laughably hilarious, but listening to your robots build stuff and clear rooms is super awesome. The sound of the portal room is super awesome, so it just needs work in some areas. Then you've got the lack of voice acting, so unless they intend to give us voice acting, the game doesn't need much more of a price increase. And the music is just kind of boring. Don't get me wrong, the music is technically done well, but it's not that fun to listen to. It's so far in the background, I forget about it half the time, and it just doesn't really fit the theme or the game. It's not a right fit, but that's just my personal opinion. As far as I can tell right now, those are the only pros and cons I felt worth mentioning. Overall, I think this game has great promise. I kept saying to myself over and over how cool this game was as I discovered new gameplay innovations that were here, new different components that were installed and that were available for me to play with and mess around with. And as I played more, I kept discovering more, and it just got cooler and cooler as I was playing. The first time I saw the whole, your mission, the mission when your team's on another planet and they contact you and they have to make decisions and you get to see the outcomes, that shit was so cool. The managing of your base is simple and easy enough, but then look at the terrain around the rooms. There's a void beyond the sandbox. Devs, at least let us know where we are somehow. Are we underground? Because dirt don't look like that. Are we on the moon? Are we in a mountain? Come on, look at this. Outside of the rooms looks awful. It's just bland white. Give us some ambiance, game devs. Give us a little bit of, what we're doing, where are we kind of thing. But overall, the gameplay is fun and addictive, even if it can get boring at times. The idea is unique and super interesting, going to different planets, creating customizable teams with a soldier, medic, scientist, and more so that they can take care of each other is super cool. But you know what I'd really like to see, game devs? And boy, I really hope that they see this video. I'd love to see some combat down the line, like in Stargate. Give us bigger portal room and let us build defenses inside of it. Let us have a war where we have to build a weapon testing room and we can watch our scientists develop new weapons of war to send off to the war effort. Hey devs, know that little Skype screen that comes up when your team calls home? Show some battles happening in the background during a war or during an engagement or something. The game doesn't have to be all violence, but it would be so freaking cool if you added an element of that to the gameplay, maybe somewhere far down the line when the player is more prepared or something. You know, let our gate be invaded, so we need a security team at home and those defenses we built earlier. I know y'all want it to be mostly exploration and science stuff, but come on, that little element would make this game legendary. And there could always be a pacifist mode for people who don't want the war stuff. I mean, you say on your Steam store page that you want feedback from your community, right? Well, here's my feedback. And if any of you people out there are watching want the same things, then make sure you let the devs know and maybe leave a comment on my channel expressing such. But I definitely got to end this video because it's been going on way too long. In short, my overall recommendation is to get this game. Support the devs and make sure to reach out to them and give them your feedback. Alright? The game is pretty darn good, and I can only see it getting even better as time goes on. And if they raise that price, well, it might be too expensive for you in the future, so maybe check it out now while it's still a little bit cheaper. It's a fantastic little base building kind of game, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. Okay? So, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure, and until then, I bid you all farewell.